Okay.
Well, welcome everyone to the Eagle Scout Court of Honor from Michael Jaros. We're gonna start. Hopefully, everybody got a program. I'm gonna start by calling this Eagle Court of Honor open. Will the audience please rise? Color guard attention. Color guard forward march. Hand or scout salute. Color guard, please post the colors.
Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Two. Color guard, return to ranks. Color guard dismissed. Everyone may be seated. So, welcome everyone. I'm glad we had such a great turnout here to celebrate Michael. The first person I'd like to bring up is Father Robert Gonella for our invocation.
Pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, we praise you and thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for this opportunity to be together. We thank you for Michael, for all of the good work that you have done in his life, and for the blessings that you wish to continue to bestow upon him. We ask that you please pour out your Holy Spirit upon this gathering, pour your Holy Spirit into his heart. Help him to grow in knowledge and love of you. Help him to grow in virtue always, and become the saint that you call him to be. We ask all of this through Christ our Lord. Amen. And may Almighty God bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thanks, Father.
Thank you, Father.
We're going to start the ceremonies today by asking Michael to rededicate himself to the Scout Oath and Scout Law. So Michael, if you please rise, make the Scout sign, and please recite the Scout Oath.
On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout Law, to help other people at all times, and to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
And the Scout Law.
The Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
Thank you. You can be seated. We'll have more for you later. So you just heard the Scout Oath and Law. Many of you in the room are Scouters and familiar with the Oath and Law, but those are the principles that guide every Scout from their journey all the way from maybe their first den meeting as a Tiger Scout or a Lion Scout, depending on how recently you joined. It will guide them from there all the way to this moment. Those two guiding principles, the oath and the law, are present in everything we do. Our community service, our rank advancement, our fundraising, our meetings, our campouts. These are things we try to live by each and every day, not just as we're scouting or at scout activities, but in every moment of our lives. The Eagle journey is one that is difficult. It's an arduous task. Of the young men and women who joined Scouts, only Only about 4% of the scouts who even join Cub Scouts make it. 4%. That's a very, very small number. There have been hundreds of thousands of scouts, and only 4% can call themselves Eagle Scouts. It's a hard journey because it takes dedication, it takes drive, it takes fortitude. There are times when the Eagle candidate may want to give up. There are times when other activities may take scouting's place for a little while. But the scout always comes back to being a scout. They come back and they work hard. They work through all the ranks. They start at scout, tenderfoot, second class, first class. Those are all the basic ranks. Those ranks have a multitude of requirements. First aid, aquatics, navigation, food safety, cooking. Everybody's favorite, right, Michael? So there's a lot of work to do just to get to first class. Many scouts tend to not even make it that far. But then after you make it to first class, you get to the next rank, where we begin to ask you to hold a leadership position to become a Star Scout. So to become a Star Scout, you have to hold a leadership position in the troop. You have to be a patrol leader, a senior patrol leader, an assistant senior patrol leader, quartermaster, scribe. All of those jobs are our youth leaders in the troop. They're there to make sure the troop runs, meetings function, scouts enjoy themselves and have a good time. Everybody comes home safely from our outings. It's a big responsibility for what could be a 13, 14, 15-year-old scout to take on. We ask them to do that to earn Star Scout. And that's where we also begin to ask them to earn some Eagle required merit badges. To earn the Eagle Scout rank, it requires 21 merit badges. 14 Eagle required merit badges that every Eagle Scout must complete 14 of those merit badges, including swimming, personal management, personal fitness, communications, family life, citizenship in the community, citizenship in the nation, citizenship in the world, citizenship in society. So all merit badges that make a good, well-rounded scout or person. So they have to complete those 14. In addition, they get to choose 7 that maybe are more fun. Rifle, canoeing, archery, space exploration. A great one, digital technology might be in there. Programming. So a lot of great merit badges that help scouts to find skills and hobbies that may carry them through either the rest of their lives or may become a career. Many scouts find their career just by what they thought was just going to be a fun merit badge and realize that's something they really enjoy doing. After you complete your Star Scout rank, you move on to Life Scout rank. Life Scout rank again requires you to hold a leadership position for 6 months in the troop, half of the year. So you are guiding the troop for half of the year as a Life Scout. In addition, you have to teach some skills, you have to participate in community service, and again, continue along that trail of those 21 merit badges. Once you've attained the rank of Life Scout, it's time to start thinking about Eagle Scout. You should have been thinking about that all along, but now's the time when it really kicks in and you look at that last couple of pages in the requirements the handbook, and you look at it and you go, wow, I need another 6 months of leadership. So I've got to be elected to a leadership position again. I have to have all 21 of those merit badges complete. I have to do some service. I have to be an active member of the troop. And the big one, the big change, getting to Eagle Scout, completing an Eagle Scout project. That project, it can't just be a very simple project. It can't be I'm going to plant a tree. It's a project that requires planning. You have to write a proposal document. You have to take that proposal document to the beneficiary, the organization that you are doing that work for. That beneficiary cannot be scouting. It's got to be something outside of scouting. You have to meet with adults. In this case, Gonella and the Newman Catholic Center at NIU. You have to get their approval that the project meets their standards. Then you have to get your Scoutmaster's approval and your committee chair's approval. And then so far as you have to go get a district committee's approval. So you have to go to another meeting with adults that you may never have met before and get their approval. Once you've proven that your project meets all the tests, it's in service to others, it's planned by you, and that you are going to be able to provide leadership and lead that project, the project is approved. Then you begin the planning phase. You start to plan work days, materials purchases, things you're going to need, possibly lunch, rides if the location is hard to get to, recruiting volunteers to show up. Sometimes it's not just scouts, sometimes it's friends and family. Then on the work day, adults like me and George, we step back. That's Michael's time to shine. He's in charge. The Eagle Scout is in charge of that project. I was at Michael's Eagle Scout project, and I can say he definitely led that project. I have no doubt in my mind he was making the decisions. Where he wasn't sure, he did seek counsel, like you should. Maybe find somebody with a little more knowledge or a little more experience and ask questions. And then based off their answers, make decisions. Michael did that. He completed a wonderful project at the Newman Center, turned what was a somewhat underused room into a great meeting space for teen and college age groups to meet. A very relaxing environment, somewhere that they could gather and share fellowship and share community. Hopefully you saw the pictures. The transformation was nothing short of amazing, from what looked like a storage closet to a place that you could sit and visit and have a nice time. Once the project is complete, the paperwork doesn't stop. Then you have to fill out the report. You fill out the report documenting all that you did, how you did it, how the project went, what you thought about it. And then you take that back to the beneficiary, and they need to sign off that it was complete. Once the beneficiary signs off, then he has to come back to me, and I sign off that it's complete. Then you take all of those things you put together and create a binder. Turn that binder in, along with any receipts, any pictures, to the scout shop. So right now, some of you out there might be glazing over thinking, man, that's a lot of paperwork. And it really is. It's a lot of paperwork. But it's a part of life. Paperwork is always going to be a part of life. And it's teaching you to document, teaching you to learn, teaching you to evaluate how things went. Michael completed all of those things. 2 days? 3 days? I'm kidding. No, he completed all those things. We turned his binder into the council office. The council office reviewed it, made sure everything was good. And then the last hurdle, Michael sat just upstairs a couple of weeks ago and went through an Eagle Border review, where a group of 4 to 5 adult leaders questioned him about his time in scouting, about what he learned, how he grew, the meaning of being an Eagle Scout. And then they judge the young man that he's become. And they found him worthy. And that brought us here today. So that is the journey of an Eagle Scout. It's long, it is arduous, but it is worth the time and effort. So I'm now going to call up Michael's dad, George, to give some speeches. George?
Well, I'm just going to give one speech.
Oh.
And then Michael can give a speech as well. So when I started thinking about what I wanted to say for Michael's Eagle Court of Honor, started thinking about all the things he did, and then I realized that the speech that I wanted to write, I already wrote. I already thought about that and wrote it. Most scouts don't get to hear the letters of reference, the letters of recommendation that they get in their for their Eagle binder and their that they submit to the council. But I'd like to read what I wrote for that for Michael back in September, so that he can hear what I had to say about him then, and then I might go off on a couple of tangents, so it might be a little bit more than what was in the letter, but this is what I wrote. So, to the Eagle Board of Review, I am writing this reference at the request of Michael, who is an Eagle Scout candidate with Troop 40 out of Sycamore, Illinois. Michael began on his path to Eagle before he even joined the Cub Scouts. When Michael was 5 years old, our neighbor, who Michael looked up to, earned his Eagle rank. We attended his Eagle Court of Honor, and Michael said that he wanted to do that someday. So that was our neighbor Jacob Marks, who couldn't be here, but his parents are here. That was in June, and then in 2013, by September, we signed up Michael for Cub Scouts with Pack 131 in DeKalb. I became his Tiger Den leader, and eventually the Cubmaster for Pack 131. So I have followed along with Michael on his entire scouting journey, and I'm very proud of where it has taken him. Through the years, I have seen Michael grow from a rascally kid who just wanted to have fun with his friends at Scouts, to a leader in his troop and a young adult who keeps the values of scouting close to his heart and in his actions at all times. He is especially trustworthy, helpful, friendly, courteous, and kind. Mike is very active in his local community outside of Scouts also. At school, he participates in cross-country and track. He is a member of the choir and madrigals programs and has earned honors and attended state and regional choir conferences. He is also in the theater program. Mike also plays acoustic classical guitar, an instrument he decided he wanted to play when he was 9 years old. He took lessons at the NIU Community School for the Arts for several years before continuing to study guitar on his own. Mike is also very active in our church community. He is an active member of the youth group, attends Mass weekly, and even meets with friends just to hang out at the church. Mike is also a large part of a group of altar servers and assists catechists during the Sunday school program, and his Eagle Scout project was a project to benefit the youth of his church. Mike was homeschooled until high school. He then attended a private school for 2 years before transferring to DeKalb High School, a school over 4 times the size of his previous school. Throughout all these transitions, Mike was able to make friends and has kept many of the friendships he forged along the way. When it comes to leadership, Mike has learned a lot and has shown that he can be a great leader in many situations. When he was 14, he was asked to be a counselor in training while at summer camp at Camp Napowan. He excitedly called home and asked if he could just remain at camp. I know Mr. Hollendoner will expound on that story a little bit. Mike stayed at camp for another 3 weeks, learning to be a counselor. The next year, in 2022, he staffed at Camp Owassipee, leading several merit badge courses. And in 2023, Mike brought those camp counselor skills home and worked at Camp Maple Leaf in DeKalb, working with children with mental and social challenges. Over the last 11 years, it has been amazing to watch Michael grow and mature as a scout. There were times when I thought his goal of becoming an Eagle Scout was unattainable, but through hard work and persistence and some encouragement from his family and friends, Mike has completed his goal. And then since this was before his board of review, I said, or at least he will after his board of review. I have confidence that will be a formality because I am positive that Michael demonstrates the qualities of an Eagle Scout, and I am proud of what he's accomplished. And it pretty much was a formality because everybody on his Eagle Board of Review had also watched him grow into an amazing young man. Sincerely, George Jaros, Michael's proud father. So I'm very proud of you. This is the biggest accomplishment of your life so far. And probably, by the time you're as old as Grandpa back there, it'll probably still be in your top 5 or 10 accomplishments. This is a huge accomplishment to become an Eagle Scout. So, our journey through Scouts started together. I was not in Scouts before you said, hey, I want to do that. And so I joined with you, and I have been enjoying this journey as well. Not just watching you, but just being able to participate in it. And so I wanted to say thank you for taking me along on this journey, and congratulations, and I'm very proud. I'll turn it over to Michael. It's his turn.
From my first camping trip to my last merit badge earned, my journey in scouting has shaped the person I am and has been one of, if not the greatest adventure in my life. Through scouting, I learned many skills that help me frequently in my day-to-day life. And I also found my closest group of friends. It was through Scouts that I learned what I want to do during and after college. And my journey would not have been what it was, though, had it not been for a few specific people who helped me get through it. And so I'd like to take some time to thank those people. Beginning with the person who first inspired me to join Scouting, all the way back in 2013. Jacob Marks was my neighbor when I was younger, and his parents have been friends of my family for as long as I can remember. When I was about 6, I went to Jacob's Eagle Court of Honor, and that was the day I decided that I wanted to join Cub Scouts and eventually become an Eagle, like Jacob. As I progressed further and made the transition from Cub Scout to Boy Scout, I began to struggle to stay motivated, and at times I found it very difficult to keep progressing with badges and rank advancements. Whenever this would happen, though, one of the things that always got me to keep going was that desire I had as a little boy, that dream of being an Eagle. That dream was had only because I got to see Jacob make Eagle, and I firmly believe that if it hadn't been for Jacob, I most likely never would have joined Scouts in the first place. This is why I want to thank him most of all, and hopefully you can pass this on to him, because he showed me the path that would shape my entire life. The next people I want to thank are my parents. Both my parents were influential in my scouting journey, and I probably wouldn't have been able to finish if they hadn't taken the time to help me with requirements. My parents also helped keep me on track when I fell into a rut, and while at times it may have seemed annoying, I am very grateful that you both kept bothering me to keep going. My dad especially has been important to my career in scouting, because when I joined as a Tiger Scout in 2013, he stepped up as the leader for my den. He stayed as my den leader throughout my entire time in Pack 131, and even became the pack leader after I'd been in Cub Scouts for a few years. He still runs Pack 131 and is the den leader for a couple of dens in it as well. My dad was the one who usually got me to scouting events, even all the way through Boy Scouts. And he often gave up his evenings so that my brothers and I could have the amazing experiences we have. So I will always be grateful to both my parents and especially my dad. I also want to thank all of the leaders in Troop 40 for all of the hard work that they put into keeping the troop running smoothly. They make it possible for us to go on camping trips and hikes and to do all of the wonderful activities we do as a troop. Many of the leaders are also merit badge counselors, and so I would specifically like to thank all of the leaders who worked with me on badges, especially Mr. Hollendoner, because he was my counselor for at least 7 of them. Another leader I would like to mention is one who always nagged me more than anyone else, and I would like to give him something that I believe is long overdue. If Mr. Lawrence could please come up to receive his sandwich.
In a box. Perfect.
So here, I'll open it up.
Wonderful, thank you.
So I can't even remember exactly how long it's been.
Oh, it's been a long time.
For well over a year at this point, at every meeting and event, Mr. Lawrence has pestered me, asking me to bring him a sandwich specifically presented in a briefcase. And I always insisted that I would after I made my eagle. Well, that day has finally come, so Mr. Lawrence, I hope you enjoy the sandwich.
I will, thank you.
Oh, was there chips?
There's chips.
I'm
in
just
there. Chips were never part of the deal. The last group of people that I want to thank are my three closest friends, Elijah J., Jonathan McMahon, and Emma Westhoff. They all helped me a lot through my time in Boy Scouts, especially during the past couple of years. All three of them helped keep me motivated, and Jonathan and Eli went out of their way to encourage me to push through the difficult parts. I'll never forget the day that the three of them showed up on my porch to talk to me about plans for my Eagle project and how I was going to get my merit badges done. The next day, we ended up all spending the day at the Newman Center, and Eli and Jonathan spent the time helping me work through some badges that I had been getting stuck on. Even aside from their help with completing Eagle, my time in Troop 40 with Jonathan and Eli produced some of my best memories, and I'll never forget the great times we had together. I'm so proud to call the three of you my friends. And I really hope that as we get older and enter new chapters in our lives, that we can still keep making memories with each other. All of the people I have talked about here have been instrumental in my path to Eagle, and I doubt that I could have made it here without them. These people are my role models, my guides, my family, and my friends, and I consider them to be some of the most important people in my life. I will always be grateful for all the help they have given me over the years, and if they should ever need it, I hope that I can return the favor someday. To all of you, thank you. You all mean the world to me.
Well said, Michael. Who was your communications counselor? Just checking. No, that was, yeah, no, that was excellent. Now comes to, we come to the award portion of our ceremony. So I'm gonna ask Mr. Weimer, our committee chair, if he'd join me. I'll present some awards to Michael. The first thing we have is a certificate and membership card suitable for framing that says, "The Boy Scouts of America is proud to award the rank of Eagle Scout to Michael Jaros, Troop 40, Sycamore, Illinois, in recognition of successful completion of all requirements for Scouting's highest rank, November 20th, 2024. You put that thing on the floor, I'm not gonna hold it for you. So, can we please remove Michael's away handkerchief? Please place his Eagle Scout handkerchief. The Eagle Scout handkerchief is adorned with red, white, and blue, the colors of the Eagle Scout. and an embroidered Eagle Scout insignia on the back. We have your Boy Scouts of America Eagle Scout slide. Your Eagle Scout patch. And now I'd like to call forward Michael's mother and father to award the final portion of this award. The Eagle Scout medal. Please pin it on Michael on his left shirt pocket. Very strong shirt. There. Most parents just slap it right on his chest. Don't bother with the backs.
There you go.
Now that we have you up here, it's Michael's turn to give out a few awards. So Michael will now present a mother's pin to his mother to thank her for all of the work that she did to help get him to this point. And then the equally important father's pin. Yes. Usually down on the pin. Usually down on the flag. This is older. Already got a few holes. Congratulations to there are just really two more awards for Michael, and then we're going to let him get on to the kind of final award, a mentor pin. But I did mention merit badges earlier. 21 merit badges is what it takes to become an Eagle Scout. When you exceed the 21 required, for every 5 you get a palm. So Michael did exceed that by 5 merit badges, so he earned 26. I believe it was actually 27, but you know that one extra didn't count for him, other than the experience. So I'd like to award Michael his bronze palm. I kept it in the bag so you don't lose it. And then a Troop 40 special award. Our normal troop hats are black with orange and white writing. Once you become an Eagle Scout, you're presented with a white Troop 40 hat with the orange letter, with the orange tent and black lettering. So, Michael, like a glove. Congratulations, Michael. And now I'm going to turn the floor back over to Michael to present his mentor pin, which is an award given to someone who has helped to guide Michael through his journey and help bring him to this point.
If my dad could please come back up to the stage. We both said before he went through my entire scouting journey with me. And so I think out of everyone, you have had the biggest role in my scouting career. So that's why I want this to you. I want pins on here. Thank you.
would now like to call forward Eagle Scout Elijah J. to present the Eagle Scout challenge and charge.
Hello everyone, I'm Elijah J. I'm a friend of Michael's. I've known him for about 4 years now. I've seen Michael grow so much throughout scouting. I've seen him serve as the senior patrol leader, the assistant senior patrol leader. I've heard stories about him as a camp staff from Wolverine people. You can thank them for that. And we were also elected into the Order of the Arrow and completed our ordeal together. So, Michael, I've seen you give leadership, and I'm very proud of you. You definitely deserve this accomplishment. So, you should definitely be proud of the young man he is today. We're at the point in the ceremony where I'm now going to give the Eagle a charge. I'm going to tell him about the responsibilities of Eagle Scout, and then I'm going to have all the Eagle Scouts in the room make a pledge with him. So, the foremost responsibility of an Eagle Scout is to live with honor. To an Eagle Scout, honor is the foundation of all character. He knows a Scout is trustworthy is the very first point of the Scout law for good reason. An Eagle Scout lives honorably, not only because honor is important to him, but because of the vital significance of the example he sets for other Scouts. Living honorably reflects credit on his home, his church, his troop, and his community. May the white of the Eagle badge remind you always to live with honor. The second obligation of an Eagle Scout is loyalty. A Scout is true to his family, Scout leaders, friends, school, and nation. His loyalty to his troop and brother Scouts makes him pitch in and carry his share of the load. All of these help to build the loyalty, which means devotion to community, to country, to one's own ideals, and to God. Let the blue of the Eagle Scout badge always inspire your loyalty. The third obligation of an Eagle Scout is to be courageous. Courage has always been a quality by which men measure themselves and others. To a Scout, bravery means not only courage to face physical danger, but the determination to stand up for what's right. Trusting in God with faith in your fellow men, he looks forward to each day, seeking his share of the world's work to do. Let the red of the Eagle badge remind you always to have courage. The fourth obligation of an Eagle Scout is to be cheerful. To remind the Eagle Scout to always wear a smile, the red, white, and blue ribbon is attached to the scroll of the second-class Scout Award, which has its ends turned upwards to be a smile. The final responsibility of an Eagle Scout is service. The Eagle Scout extends a helping hand to those who still toil up the scouting's trail, just as others helped him to climb his trail to Eagle. The performance of the daily good turn takes on a new meaning when he enters a more adult life of continuing service to others. The Eagle stands as protector of the weak and helpless. He aids and comforts the unfortunate and the oppressed. He upholds the rights of others while defending his own. He will always be prepared to put forth his best. You deserve much credit for having achieved scouting's highest award, but wear your award with humility, ever mindful that the Eagle Scout is looked up to as an example. May the Scout Oath and the Scout Law be your guide for tomorrow and onward. The Eagle Scout candidate will now take the Eagle Scout pledge. As the candidate takes his pledge for the first time, will Eagle Scouts who are present in the audience please come forward and reaffirm their pledge with him. Will each one of you please give the Scout sign and repeat after me in unison? On my honor, I will do my best.
On
On my honor, I will do my best
To do my duty to God.
to do my duty to God.
On my honor, I will do my best.
On my honor, I will do my best
To do my duty to my country.
to do my duty to my country.
I reaffirm my allegiance to the three promises
I reaffirm my allegiance to the three promises
of the Scout Oath.
of the Scout Oath.
I thoughtfully recognize and take upon myself
I thoughtfully recognize and take upon myself
the obligations and responsibilities
the obligations and responsibilities
of the rank of Eagle Scout,
of the rank of Eagle Scout.
On my honor, I will do my best
On my honor, I will do my best
to make my training an example
to make my training example,
and make my rank and influence strongly count
and make my rank and influence strongly count
for better scouting and for better citizenship.
for better scouting and better citizenship.
In my troop,
In my troop,
in my community,
in my community,
in my contact with other people,
in my contact with other people,
regardless of race, color, or creed.
regardless of race, color, or creed.
To this, I pledge my sacred honor.
To this I pledge my sacred honor.
You may now put down the scout sign. Michael, I charge you to enter this Eagle Scout Brotherhood, holding before you, without reservation, the ideals of honor and service. By repeating the words of the Eagle Scout Pledge before your fellow members, you have become an Eagle Scout. Though the words you just used now are similar to which you first used at the beginning of scouting, today they mean more than they ever could have meant at that time or at any point in the past. When you pledge yourself on your sacred honor, using the same words found at the end of the Declaration of Independence, you have sealed your eternal loyalty to the code of an Eagle Scout. As one Eagle Scout to another, by the authority vested in me by the National Court of Honor of Boy Scouts of America, it is my privilege and pleasure to pronounce to you, you're an Eagle Scout. May the oath you have taken remain true in your heart. Ladies and gentlemen, Scout and Scouters, I present to you Eagle Scout Michael Jaros.
That brings us to the end of our ceremony today. I have opportunity for a few closing remarks. I met Michael as a Cub Scout. I knew George. My son's just a little older than Michael, so we kind of crossed paths. And I had seen Michael. I knew George. We didn't have a ton of interaction. Different packs, different towns, DeKalb and Sycamore, so it was a little different, but I was always aware. They were always doing the same fun stuff, showing up at all the same events. So I know that Michael's scouting journey mirrored my son's. I was there for his, and I was happy when Michael chose to join Troop 40 and continue his scouting journey. I was happy to have him come over, happy to have George come along. And you know, like all scouts when they first show up, a little squirrely. You know, they're finding their place, they're finding their way. They don't have, as Michael has said multiple times, he made some great friends in the scouts. When you show up the first time at a scout meeting, maybe you don't have those friends. It takes a little time, and especially when you transfer into a troop that's in a different town. It's even a little harder, but Michael had no problem making friends, no problem finding his people. He was able to make some friends, get elected by his troop mates to positions of responsibility, and I watched him grow. I watched him become a young man capable of leading, capable of giving directions that could be followed. You know, so it wasn't overnight. It took some work, but Michael did put in that work. And then he found some other activities that maybe pulled him away from scouting, but came back and kept working. That's probably the thing I will remember the most about Michael's journey is that he was always doing a check to see, well, how close am I? Is this still doable? How close am I? And every time he came and asked the question, I said, you have plenty of time, but you've got to keep working. And Michael didn't let me down. Michael kept working. Whether he was working at home, planning his project, working with merit badge counselors, he found that time and worked hard and learned a lot of valuable life lessons through his journey. I know those lessons are going to carry him forward through the end of his high school career, into his college career, and beyond. The things he learned, sometimes it takes. I've met full-grown adults who don't understand some of the lessons that Michael has learned through all the things he has experienced in scouting. So I'm proud to be here today. With that, I'm going to stop talking so that we can have our closing ceremony. But just again, Michael, congratulations.
Thank you.
Will the audience please rise? Color guard, reform ranks. Color guard, please retrieve the colors. And our scout salute. Color guard, forward march. Two. All right, so I see on your program that there's some story time / roast. Oh, you can be seated. I'm sorry. Yeah, you definitely stay up here with them. We take an opportunity to tell some stories about Michael and the things we remember. Some funny, some meaningful, mostly funny, mostly not flattering to Michael. So a lot of fun. But the story I want to tell is the one that George mentioned earlier. So Michael has just joined us, joined the troop, comes to summer camp for the first time. We take him up to Camp Napowan, and he's nervous because he's never been to summer camp before. He's not really sure. We get there, he blossoms. He finds that camp is great, camp is fun, he's having a blast, running around camp, doing merit badges, having a great time. What is it, about Wednesday or Thursday night of summer camp? We go home on Saturday morning. I think it might have been Thursday or Friday. Michael comes to me and he says, "Mr. Hollendoner, they asked me to stay." And I said, "What do you mean they asked you to stay?" He said, "Well, they need counselors in training and they'd like me to stay on and be a counselor in training." I said, "Well, have you thought about this?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I have thought about it." I said, "Well, that means staying here. You're not going to go home." "That's okay." Okay. So I look at him. "You're serious about doing this?" "Yep." So I've been to summer camp multiple times. I've never ever left a scout at summer camp. So I immediately go, "We're going to have to call your dad. We've got to call home and make sure that it's okay that I leave you here in Wisconsin when we all leave." So we walked to somewhere a little quieter. I think might have been down by the waterfront or somewhere along the trail. And I called George. I said, "Hey George, how's it going?" He said, "Good. You told me you'd only call if something was wrong." I said, "No, nothing's wrong. Michael doesn't want to leave." "Well, what does that mean?" "Well, they've asked him to stay on as a counselor in training, and Michael wants to do that." "Well, can he do that?" George says. I'm like, "Well, yes, he can, but it's going to take some work because he's only got a week's worth of clothes." I mean, I'm sure at that point he had only worn like 3 days worth of those clothes, so he had some spare. But he's got sleeping gear, and they'll give him a cabin. But he's probably gonna need some things to stay for the extra 3 weeks. "Are you sure he wants to do this?" I said, "Well, he told me he's pretty sure. I'm gonna let you talk to Michael." So I hand Michael my phone, and I walk away. And a conversation ensued that I did not hear and I did not listen to, and I walked away, and it seemed to be a long conversation, and then Michael headed back towards me with my phone, and I said, well, so how'd that go? He goes, good, I'm staying. I said, okay. So I talked to George, and I'm like, George, you comfortable with this? Julie comfortable with this? Your son is not coming home with us. Oh yeah, we're gonna Amazon ship him some stuff, and I'll bring him some. We'll get some stuff there to Wild Rose, and so that last day of camp, that Saturday, we pack up camp. We're loading up, and Michael looks like a traveling hobo because he's got everything he owns, trying to carry it around camp and get to the cabins he's supposed to stay in. Well, we lost with Michael, Sam, and who else was carrying their stuff for like 20 minutes because they went one way, we went the other way. I'm like, where did they go? And they were up, we ended up in the dining pavilion. I'm like, why are you up in the dining pavilion? Well, it's the only place that's dry. Oh, I forgot to mention it was raining the whole time he was carrying all of his stuff around. So here I am leaving this young man who was supposed to be gone a week. Like, well, are you sure about being here for a month? And, yep, I'm sure. Okay. Well, once we pull out, there's no takebacks on this. Okay. And so we said goodbye to Michael. We left, and very weird feeling because I always pride myself on saying, you know, I came back with 100% of the scouts that I left with. It was the only time I left a scout. And felt a little weird about it, but I know it was the right choice. Michael found a home as a camp counselor. He earned a nickname. He was the bard as he walked through Flintlock, playing his guitar and regaling everyone who would stop and listen with songs and guitar playing, and even those who didn't want to stop and listen, he regaled them with songs and guitar playing. But he found that he enjoyed being a camp counselor, as George said. It was something that it just made sense to him. He came back, he went brand new camp, Owasapi, we went to the next year, and he didn't flinch from saying, yep, I'll work there too. Didn't even know the camp, but was gonna work there. So that was great to see, and he's continued, I believe, he keeps pestering me to make sure his registration's clear. He'll be staffing camp again this year, hopefully. So, as scary as it was, I'm sure for George and Julie to get that call of your son doesn't want to come home, I think it was a great learning and growing opportunity for Michael, and I think it really pushed him along his path to Eagle. So, I'm going to invite anybody else if they want to share a story about Michael. Feel free. George, you want me to come on?
So while we're sharing stories about Michael, there are sandwiches in the back. So Mr. Lawrence, you get a second sandwich if you want. Yes. We've also got some fruit and chips and sodas and cookies and stuff. So go back and help yourselves. Enjoy the food. And Michael, you get to eat later. You're on the spot right now. So I just wanted to say back to that story. You called, it was 26 hours before you guys were supposed to arrive home, and it was like a 3-hour drive, so it was less than 24 hours before you were supposed to leave camp that you were calling saying, Michael wants to stay. So yeah, thankfully.
Had that call with you as everybody else was heading down to the closing fire.
Yes. So, it was a shock, and if I remember right, Lily wasn't home.
No, oh wait, I was at home. I was in the shower.
Oh.
When you walked in there.
She was in the shower, so that's why the phone call took so long. I had to run up and say, your son's not coming home.
Yeah,
What?
there was one moment where I was yelling, he wants to what now?
But yeah, it was a great experience for Michael. I think it was a great growing experience, but his first Wheelos camp up at CFL, he saw the camp counselors up there running things, and just like when he saw Jacob Marks become Eagle Scout, and said, I want to do that someday, as soon as he saw those counselors doing stuff up at CFL, he said, I want to do that someday, and as soon as he got the opportunity to do that, he was a counselor. Been a great job. So, I've got the camps and
Maybe we'll wait until the line.
Maple Leaf, and hopefully again next year. So he does a great job. And the things that he learned as a camp counselor, he's brought back to help out with my pack, singing campfire songs and stuff when I do my annual Flag Day, flag retirement campfire program and stuff. So he's doing a great job with that. I want to talk a little bit about the beginning of his scouting career. I mentioned that when he saw Jacob Marks get his Eagle Scout, that's when he decided he wanted to join Scouts. But before that, he was like trying a whole bunch of different things. He was 4 or 5 years old. I think when he was 4, we went to STEM Fest, and he won lessons for karate. And so we took him to karate lessons to some place out in Aurora, I think. And when that was over, he's like, I didn't really like karate. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm like, well, I'd like you to be doing something. What would you like to do? There's AYSO soccer starting up. Do you want to try that? He's like, do I get to run around? I said, yeah, you can run around in soccer. So we said, great. We signed him up for soccer. He wanted to do that. His first game, he got out there, and he ran around like a rocket ship the whole time. Didn't pay any attention to the ball. His arms were out. So that was his running around. And he ran around in soccer. Yes, he still runs around. So he ran around like that through AYSO soccer. He played that for a couple of years till he got tired of getting hit in the head with the ball. Even though I said, if you pay attention to where the ball is, you won't get hit in the head, but he stopped for that. But it was in the middle of that he saw Jacob's Eagle ceremony and said, I wanted to do Scouts. And we said, okay, great, we'll let you do Scouts. And Scouts was a place where he could, you see the pictures up here where he could act goofy and act silly and make friends. And there's your CFL shirt. And so he was able to run around like a rocket ship or growl or do whatever he wanted to and fit in. And so Scouts has been a great experience for him, to fit in with people. The other thing I wanted to mention is that his very first Scout campout was over Labor Day weekend in 2013. We went up to Rock Cut State Park with Pack 131. I had met with the leaders about a week before and, got introduced to the pack, but that was our first experience with the entire pack as a family. It was the two of us. That's where Michael met John for the first time. They hung out all weekend and then hung out for 7 years after that, Scouts, 6 years after that, and Cub Scouts, and still are hanging out together at school and everything. You notice that John is in almost as many pictures up here. Yeah, there's John. So he's in almost as many pictures up here as Michael, because they were side by side throughout everything. But the reason that we joined Pack 131 is because we were there, a bunch of the kids were kind of screwing around by the water, and one of the parents yelled at all the kids. Didn't matter if it was his kid or not, he yelled at all the kids to stop screwing around by the water. And I said, I want to join a pack where the parents aren't afraid to yell at all the kids. Because I want everybody looking out for everybody. And that's kind of the Scout family that we've always had in Pack 131. It's everybody looking out for everybody. And we stuck with 131 the whole time, and we made some great friends in that. Over the years, I was his den leader. We started out with 3 Scouts, Mike and John and Georgie Lamchick, and then we combined with Pack 133 and added Rory and Jack. And throughout the years, we had a couple of other Scouts that came and went. When you guys crossed over, there were, I think, 8 of you guys that were really close. Out of all those Scouts, there were probably, 15 of you guys that came and went. Out of all of them that were in that den, you and John are the only 2 that need to go. So I'm very proud of both of you guys. So you guys, I'm glad that you stuck with it and that your friendship was continued. So, okay, I'll stop speaking. I want to get a sandwich. You gotta wait. Anybody have anything else to talk about, Mike?
Or Jonathan, Elijah, nothing? John, all right. Now we get the even younger, squirrelier version of Michael. No, you knew him. You got him. You knew him in Cub Scouts. You knew him before he's the specimen that's sitting in front of us today.
Yeah, so for the explanation of why there's a random Troop 4 guy here, Mr. Jaros went pretty into it. I was a Cub Scout in 131 with Mike. I actually joined before him, and it was rather lonely without him. So once he was there, he was the second guy in the den that I was able to connect with, since it was really just us two and the one other kid that I don't even remember him anymore. But me and Mike quickly became friends, and also quickly became a massive pain in Mr. Jaros' side. We used to do these monthly hikes. It was about a month, or about a mile every hike, maybe 2 miles. I don't really remember exactly. But me and Mike, we'd go and we'd start talking, whatever it was, movies, what we were doing that weekend, or like the week before, or whatever, or school, or whatever the conversation was. But we would walk at like a snail's pace. So everyone else would get done with the whole mile, and we'd be on like halfway through. So Mr. Jaros oftentimes would either have to keep yelling at us to catch up, or he'd have to send a search party back to come and find us, because we'd always get off on some tangent, or we'd just like randomly sit down while they just keep walking, and we'd just have this conversation. And we did that like the entire time. Every single hike, we were pretty notorious for that. And we do the same at the campouts. We'd always be hanging with each other and whatnot, no matter what we were doing. It was us two all the time, even with all the other guys. And then going into Troop 4, where he first came in with us, as a den, we kind of unanimously. Yeah, that word. 6 out of the 8 of us all went to Troop 4. One went to 33, one went to like 18 or something. That was Rory. But we all kind of went because we wanted to stay friends. It quickly went down to just 4 out of 6 too. 6 though, because 2 moved away. And me and Mike stayed closer with each other than with the other 2 guys, especially because one of them was kind of getting out of it. But after a while, Mike... But anyway, after a while, Mike left and joined Troop 40, which for you guys was great. For me, it was very sad though, because I lost my best buddy. So I had to go and, try and figure out who I was going to hang with after that. Because we had so many memories together that it was kind of like, we were pretty tight compared to me with anyone else. And I just want to thank Michael, because if it weren't for him, I don't think I would have even gotten to Cub Scouts. He was kind of the kid that really made me enjoy coming to everything that we were doing. And same with the early days of Troop 4. So if it weren't for Michael, I definitely would have never been able to get an Eagle Scout. I would have never wanted to stay in the yearlings.
And John, when you guys were walking so slow, what did I call you guys?
I don't even remember.
I called you guys We the Slows.
Anybody else? Come on. Oh.
I just wanted to let everybody know the sentence was well worth the wait.
You didn't share?
Oh, no.
So, the end of Michael's scouting journey to Eagle was on overdrive. I think, you had 6 months and 6 merit badges or 8 merit badges to go?
Something like that, yeah.
So, it was And that's how I ended up Michael's counselor for like 6 or 7 of them, is I just happened to be a counselor for the ones that he needed. So, it was pretty funny. We finished one and he's like, when can we start the next one? What can I start on the next one? Can I start the next one? It's like, you can start all of them. And then we could meet once and do multiple American. It's like, okay. So we got through those, but it was very entertaining being Michael's counselor, because there were some questions and things. I mean, no questions to the level of Elijah. Well, does this count? Well, what does it say? Well, it says this. Well, then yes, that counts. Oh, okay, then I'm done with that one. Yes. So a lot of times what I find with some of our scouts is they've done a lot of the things they need to do. They just don't remember to go and look at the requirements before they do. Again, like I said, my journey with Michael, watching him stop and start the cooking badge multiple times was very entertaining to me. Because I was not his counselor for that. That was our former Scoutmaster, Mr. Voigt. And Mr. Voigt is a notoriously exacting chef. He once, some lunatic once picked a different chili over his because they included cornbread. And Jeff still hasn't lived it down. But watching...
Neither have I.
Yeah. I wasn't going to name names who the lunatic was. You outed yourself there, buddy. Watching Michael cook was always interesting, because he'd start one way and then Jeff would go, "Are you sure?" And then Michael would stop. Like, "What do you mean?" And like, "Well, are you sure you want to do that now?" "Well, I think so." "Are you sure?" So always entertaining, working towards those merit badges, watching those things happen. I think some other goofy things you've done with Troop 40 that I.
What's more time to think about it if like you're not in shot with any more shots to come up?
All right, excellent. I was just killing time waiting for them to come up with their own stories.
Had to think about it.
Yeah, it's hard. See, he can't get you back now.
Yeah.
You can say back.
Hello everyone, my name is Jonathan. I've been a friend of Michael for quite a while. We're in Scouts together for about 5 years maybe. I was also a friend of his in church too before Scouts, so it's been a huge blessing being part of Scouting with you, being a friend of yours on campouts and during summer camp and whatnot. I'm super proud of you. I have a brief story that me and Eli would like to share about. I remember one time, this was probably like a year ago, right? We were hanging out, it was me, Eli, and our friend Emma back there. We were hanging out at the church, and I think me and you had got Eagle Scout at that point. And we're like, man, where's Mike going with his Eagle Scout? Is he almost there? Got a couple badges left. And we're discussing it and trying to think of ways we could encourage him, help him get to Eagle Scout. Really wanted that for him. And Emma was like, he lives like 5 minutes away, right? And we're like, oh, bet. So we all hop in our cars, just randomly, didn't even tell him. Hop in our cars, go over to his house, knock on his front door, and we knock on his front door, and Mr. Jaros comes down, and he's like, what you guys doing here? And so we're like, we're here to see Mike. We want to see how he's doing with Scouts and where he's coming along. And he's like, he's upstairs, let me go get him. And down comes Mike, who's working on school or something. And he's like, what was it?
He's doing laundry.
And we're talking to him like, how, do you think you can do it, man? And he's like, I don't know. He was a little bit doubtful. But actually, you had like your whole Eagle Scout binder with you, right?
Oh yeah,
It was funny. He had this whole Eagle Scout binder. We're like, man, you got this. We believe in you. We want you to get it. And here you are. So we're proud of you. Good job. That's my short story. Pulling up to his front porch, trying to give him some encouragement with our friends. So yeah, thank you. Congratulations, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
Give me time, 21. Go for it, bro.
So Michael and I have a similar last names. We both start with J in our last names. On Facebook, there's a Facebook photo of us when we got into the OA. It's congratulating both of us. We're in it. It says, congratulations, Elijah J, period, and Michael J, period. So for a while, kids in the troop thought that we were siblings. And whenever they asked me, I was like, oh yeah, we're totally brothers. And that's basically the joke, but yeah.
Now, I want to see the real handshake.
Little handshake.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's that handshake.
Oh no.
I did back up for this one, guys.
Here, move so that the camera gets it. Move so you're.
Are we doing this? Okay. Why are we doing this?
There you go.
There was no why that started, just that's been around for a while now. Can I go sit next to him?
There we go. Come on. He's done a lot of goofy things.
Well, this past summer at summer camp, Michael stayed in a hammock, and we had a crazy thunderstorm come through. I was in a hammock too, and I ran for the Kaibo when the storm came in. Michael stayed in his hammock. And the next morning I said, did you get drenched? I was pretty dry. Are you not worried about the storm? He said, no, I slept like a baby. And he was happy as a lark in that hammock.
Literally like a baby. The
Yeah.
wind was rocking me back and forth. It was like a baby.
It was rocking the rest of us too, but we were in bed. We're lucky the tree fell this way, and so that way Mr. Vince wouldn't be sitting here. So it was a crazy storm.
It was far enough away from
Another one from this past summer camp. Michael made the most of summer camp this year by enrolling and registering for badges without telling anybody. So all of a sudden I get a bill for tubing. Like, okay, cool. Michael, you owe us for tubing. And I get a second bill for tubing. Okay, you owe us for another tubing. Okay. And then all of a sudden on the last possible day of camp, no chance of earning another merit badge, his buddy Elijah talks him into, you should totally come out for motorboating. And Michael says, yes, I will go to motorboating. Not a badge you can do in one day, and cost him $10. So he comes to me and he's like, Mike, you know you're gonna have to pay for that badge. It's okay, don't worry. Elijah's gonna help me finish it. What is the status of said badge?
I was about 1 hour of talking with Eli away from finishing it.
1 hour. And I hope your dad charged you the $10 for the thimble full of gas you used in that one day of motorboating class. So, George.
Yeah, so storms were mentioned, and I just want to tell a story about a storm that we weathered, and John was there as well. So it was the second year of Weimo's camp up at CFL. We drove up there. It was Michael and Logan, and we picked up John on the way up because his family was coming home from the Wisconsin Dells. So we met, I think, at a Culver's, and they kept going home, and we brought John right back up into Wisconsin. So it was Michael and John and Logan, Logan's dad, and myself. And we got up there for CFL, and the first CFL is what, 2 full days, and then there's the day of setup and the day of takedown. So it's just under the 72 hours that they require. If it's over 72 hours, you got to fill out extra paperwork. So it's just under that. But the first full day was wonderful. Weather was gorgeous. Everybody was having a great time. And then about 10 o'clock at night, we're seeing some lightning on the horizon. So the boys are all playing giant chess and stuff, and we're watching the lightning come. And the Campmaster comes by, we're like, is that storm gonna hit us? He's like, well, we've been watching it, and it looks like it's gonna avoid us. So, okay, cool, great, we'll just watch the lightning show. The kids are still playing, they're doing the giant chess. You guys did that for quite a while and stuff, but all of a sudden, the sirens went off. And the rangers are going out and yelling, everybody get into the lodge, into the shelters and stuff. Everybody knew where they were supposed to go. Turned out that the storm that was heading east started heading south right towards the camp. So we all went into the lodges. The camp staff was incredible. They were singing songs with the kids. They were entertaining them, doing skits and stuff. Basically like a whole nother campfire session, because we already had the campfire for the night. So they were basically doing all sorts of extra songs and stuff, keeping the kids entertained while the storm is raging outside. We could hear the wind blowing, the trees are shaking, the rain was just hitting the sides of the lodge and stuff. And that lasted, I don't know, half hour, 40 minutes of the storm. But they weren't letting us out of the cabin until the camp staff, the rangers, went and checked the entire camp to make sure everything was okay. So about 12:30 in the morning, the rangers come back into the cabin and they say, well, it's so clear, everybody can go back to their tents. However, we want to let you know that about 80% of the tents have been knocked down. If your tent is fine, you can stay in it. If it's not fine, you're going to have to find some place to sleep. We'll have the lodges open for people to sleep in if you need to. So we get back to our camp, and I had a tent for myself, and I had a tent that the 3 boys were sleeping in, and then Logan's dad had his tent, and then we had a pop-up shelter. And the tent that the boys were all sleeping in was perfect, nothing wrong with it. My tent would have been perfect, except the pop-up shelter had blown right into the side of my tent and snapped the poles. But Logan's dad's tent was completely destroyed. It was in pieces, it was shredded. So we had a perfectly good tent. We had...
Our tent did have a little bit of water in
It had a little bit of water in it, but it was structurally fine.
Yeah.
It was just a little water that came in through an open window or something. But it was fine. Logan and his dad decided that they were going to go home. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, they left and drove the 3.5 hours back home. But I had 2 boys, myself, and a perfectly good tent that we couldn't stay in because of the youth protection policies. So the tent sat there, and we all went up to the lodge and slept in the lodge with probably 50 other people, listening to people snoring. It was about 90 degrees in the lodge because there were so many people in it. It was the middle of summer, it was warm. But yeah, so that was an interesting experience. The 2 of them slept like babies. And I was up most of the night listening to the snoring, and when I wasn't, other people were probably listening to me snoring. But then we got up the next day, and it was a beautiful day. You guys did archery and target shooting and all sorts of stuff, and we had a beautiful Sunday, I think it was, and then we came home the next day, and it was a wonderful camping experience, and you guys weathered an incredible storm. It was really pretty neat. But yeah, most of the tents in the camp were smashed and down. It was quite a storm that came through. So, yeah, that was a fun time.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's next? Owen?
Looks like the bike's getting off easy, Mike.
Any stories you want to share?
No, not really. You guys told all the good ones. Oh, yeah. So this is a favorite story of theirs. It's a bit more recent. At the last, let's see, this would have been in October, at our biking trip and camping trip that followed, we were all gathering some firewood for our campfire. And we were trying to bring a big, I wouldn't say log, but it was a fairly large limb of a tree that had fallen. We were trying to bring it over to our camp. And rather than just having a few guys carry it like normal people would, we all had the brilliant idea to get a rope from the trailer and use that to basically tie a trailer and pull it behind my bike. And it worked. It was even able to go around corners just fine. It worked. But it was a lot more work than was necessary.
What kind of rope did you use?
A big one?
It was a tug of war rope. It wasn't like paracord. It wasn't like a rope you should have been using. Nope, it was a giant braided tug of war rope that they tied to a bike, which probably just made the log heavier. But that's what we do in Scouts. We let them solve their own problems. Whether they solve them or create more, it's a 50-50 shot.
I don't have the video, but there's a pretty funny video out there of me biking with this giant bridge behind me.
I don't see anybody else rushing up here to tell any stories.
Grandpa's got
one. We apparently saved the best one for last. I know this is going to be good.
I just remember going to Michael's first soccer game because his father was explaining. And, you know, I'm there to see my grandchild, and he's in the middle of the field, and the ball would go by, and he was standing there. And then the ball would go by, and then everybody would run, and all of a sudden he starts growling, and he's growling. And the ball would go by, and he would growl, and the ball would go this way, and he would growl. Finally, you know, I said to his dad, I said, what is he doing? You know, this is a soccer game. And his father says, name of the team is the Dragons. And he's being a dragon. That's what he was doing. Wasn't interested in the ball at all. The sweater that I'm wearing, he was about 2 years old or so when I got the sweater. And I just want to tell you, I've always been proud to wear the sweater. Because in small print over here it says, Michael's grandfather. And I'm always proud to wear it. Thanks.
I definitely think that was the best for last, so.
So I want to thank everybody for coming out. You guys have all been an important part of Michael's scouting career, his journey to Eagle. As I mentioned, his journey has mirrored my journey. We started Scouts at the same time. So we are very appreciative of everybody in this room and everybody that could not be here. So it looks like there's a few more sandwiches back there. So if you want to eat a little bit more, or if you want to just visit and chat, otherwise, this concludes the ceremony and the roast, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for coming out, everybody.
You all let Mike off really easy.
I was just thinking about you the other day.
What's
wondering
with
if
you
you'd be
moping
available.
over here? I don't think I've ever seen you without a smile on your face, and you're all moping today.